Environmentalist and humorist Farley Mowat is an unusual type, and Never Cry Wolf, the Disney film adaptation of his book, is an unusual movie. It's a sumptuous and frequently funny adventure about Mowat himself, fictionalized here in the film as a young scientist named Tyler, who lives in the Arctic for months studying wolves, wolves' habits, wolves' society, and most importantly to his superiors in the Canadian government, wolves' diets. The government is looking to prove that the wolves are bringing down the local caribou population, impacting the Inuit, who revere them as a sacred animal. Tyler watches one particular wolf family and becomes strongly attached to them. He names the parents George and Angeline. Tyler encounters few other humans in this story, but the ones offered to us present various takes on the wolves. Brian Dennehy plays Rosie, a cynical bush pilot who charges yuppies to consider wilderness outposts for future development. In the book, he also charges them for low-risk hunting adventures, the most likely cause of the plummeting caribou population. Tyler becomes fast friends with a pair of Inuits, the careful, philosophical Utek and his adopted son Mike. Utek asks Mike to school Tyler on the mystical history of the wolves and the caribou, and this largely maps onto what Tyler is learning from his first-hand observations. Moffat's book describes a symbiotic relationship between the two species, with wolves testing the caribou to find out which ones are weak and worth hunting, effectively keeping the caribou healthy. Mike, for his part, just needs money, and gets $350 for each pelt he brings back to the city. It's strongly implied that he's finding enough work to get by, his toothless grin replaced by gleaming dentures in one of the movie's final shots. His discussion with Tyler about the scientist's beloved wolves, George and Angie, is sad, haunting, and like much of Mowat's writing, pretty funny.
It wouldn't kill these wolves.
These ones? Oh. No, I don't think so. And your gun is bigger than mine.
Utek would never say anything this pragmatic.
He says, good idea.
He believes that wolves communicate as well as humans. He's able to translate their howls well enough to lead Tyler to where the wolves plan to encounter a herd of caribou. All of this is beautifully shot, and begs the question, who exactly this movie is made for? The cover of the novel boasts that it is now a major motion picture, but the film played in at most 540 cinemas, and must have cost a fortune. Granted, Charles Martin Smith isn't exactly a huge name, and probably had a smaller price tag. At best, you might remember him as the whiskey-slurping accountant in The Untouchables, or the Toad in American Graffiti. He carries this film almost single-handedly with a cinematographer on his own back, and is believably mild-mannered and wild at the same time, chowing down vengefully on field mice to the horror of their brethren, brandishing his rifle at Rosie's plane and even threatening violence, running nude through a sacred and scared pack of caribou. This last scene, a dreamlike action sequence near the film's climax, is impressive. That really is Charles Martin Smith navigating a stampede in the buff. In the book, Mowat is himself responsible for that stampede, having watched the wolves and caribou mostly ignore each other for several days, and the sequence in the book is played for laughs as the Inuit women see him naked chasing the herd, and they come armed with knives to save this crazy city boy who has clearly lost his mind. Again, who exactly was this made for? I recall it playing in heavy rotation on the nascent Disney Channel. It contains, to my knowledge, the only full-frontal male nudity in any Disney-produced film. It's brief, but it certainly made an impression. The film also dips into fantasy in a creepy dream sequence that portrays the incident when Utek was bitten by a wolf and learned their language. This movie is sincere to the point of hallucination. Mowat, the writer, always keeps his tongue firmly in his cheek, even when describing his tragic disgust with the government and hunting culture. The movie, while full of light touches and narrated with lines pulled straight from the novel, is a much more contemplative affair.
Get a grip on yourself.
For a story about a government stooge sent to essentially fabricate evidence in the name of science, Farley Mowat's book plays fast and loose with what is presented as a factual memoir. Mowat, who was successful as both an author and activist, has often been accused of fabricating his autobiographical works. As he says in the introduction to this book, "I never let the facts get in the way of the truth." And as a work of fiction, the movie Never Cry Wolf is thoroughly satisfying. Better, I would say, than Oscar bait that take on similar topics like, Dances with Wolves. And Tyler is not Farley Mowat. Tyler is nebbish and quirky and needs Mike to translate between himself and Utek. Mowat is a decorated war veteran and claims to speak Inuktitut, though critics have cast doubt on his linguistic abilities. Thankfully, I'm just a movie fan. I'm not a scientist. As the latter, I might find this movie misleading hokum. As the former, I find it utterly charming and a nostalgic piece of my childhood.